Joe Morton, you play the nefarious Rowan Pope on ABC's social media and rating smash Scandal. Let's firstly just go straight to the finale. Anyone who's watching this who hasn't seen it might want to just turn away and turn your computer off. That was the craziest, most over-the-top thing I've ever seen, and I was riveted for the whole thing. Now, I would like to know what your reaction was when you got the script for that.
I mean, basically, we don't know what's going to happen from episode to episode until we sit down at the table read. So our responses, I'm going to imagine, are the same as the audience when they're seeing it on TV. I mean, we're screaming and hollering or covering our mouths, pointing to one another, can't believe that she wrote that. I was sort of wonderfully in shock because I turned out to be the master manipulator. It's great. I mean, all the things that you guys go through is exactly what we go through as we read the script for the first time.
Wow, that's fantastic, because that means you really wouldn't have known what your character's trajectory was going to be for the whole season, right?
Well, no. I mean, you kind of only know it piecemeal from episode to episode. And what's great about that is it forces every actor in the show to be as truthful in the moment as they can be, because we have no idea what Shonda has in mind. So it makes for, as I hope is true, it makes for good drama.
Yeah, it certainly does. Now, let's just go through the the ride that your character went on. So he started out as Command.
Right.
People who don't know what that is, that's the commander of the shady government organization B613. He's been actively working against his daughter, Olivia Pope, and his ex-wife, Crazy Maya, the crazy terrorist, responsible for the murder of about, 186 people.
200 actually.
That's right. So, I mean, let's just say a lot. Then he comes to his daughter's aid when he needs and acts as her father figure when that is convenient, I suppose.
Well, no, he's always, no matter how nefarious it may seem, he's always working in behalf of his daughter.
Yeah.
It's always the two things that he's trying to protect all the time are the Republic and his daughter, and not necessarily in that order.
That's right. And you've been your character has really been protecting the world. And then at the end of the season, we find out that he's been the mastermind behind so much of what has happened. He's the hell and the high water, as you so beautifully say in the finale. So I would like you to clear up once and for all, please, for all of us, is Rowan a good guy or a bad guy?
As the actor playing the part, he is the best guy in the world. I mean, generally speaking, most villains believe that what they do is going to make either the world or their world a better place to live in. Whether it's just kind of a guy who's murdering people for whatever reason he's doing that, he's doing it because he thinks getting rid of those people makes the world a better place. And so all of what Rowan does, in his opinion, makes the world, certainly the United States, and his daughter's situation better as he does all of what he does.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I've had the pleasure of speaking to many of your co-stars, and they all rave about speaking the words written by Shonda and her team. What is your view when you receive scripts like this? There's a lot of words. They're packed scripts. What do you think about working for Shonda Rhimes?
It's great. I mean, Shonda Rhimes is clearly a genius. I mean, she does things that no other television show that I've ever been a part of has ever done before. One of which is sometimes our scripts are longer than you might expect. I mean, sometimes the scripts can be 72 pages long, and you know that all those 72 pages will not make it onto the screen. But what that gives her is the opportunity to tell certain stories at certain times and maybe move a whole part of another story to another script or another edit. And for us, again, we're not quite sure what's going to end up on the screen. Plus, the words that she and her coterie of writers sort of put on the page are just amazing. I mean, they have managed to put together a show that avoids being a soap opera, but very, very clearly maintains itself as a melodrama. And I think because of the actors who are working it, and because we're all theater actors, we have the tools and hopefully the skill to keep that alive and make the audience believe in the world that she's put together.
Yeah, I think you're totally onto something, because when I watch the show with my wife, we sometimes look at each other and think, did that really just happen, or did that person really just say that? And yet, we're so in that moment, and it comes across not so ridiculous. It's a melodrama, but it's actually written so beautifully that you do follow it along quite well. Now, I think that is also very much because of the cast. It's a really, really strong cast, and that is very well led by Kerry Washington, your leading lady on the show. Tell us about working with her.
Kerry, first of all, is a wonderful actress, very smart, very dedicated, very organized in the way she works. And oddly enough, she and I never speak about the scenes that we're going to do until we're actually in them. And even then, most of the work is done simply by responding back and forth in terms of what I give her and what she gives me, which makes it, again, like being on stage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. When you were cast back in season 2, what were your expectations? Did you think you were going to be on, or were you told, or were you hired to be on the show for this amount of time as a very integral part of the cast, or were you just hired for a short run? What was the deal there?
I was hired and still am a recurring character on the show. The only thing I knew that no one else knew at the end of season 2 was that at the end of that season I was going to be revealed in the last 2 lines of the last script as Kerry's dad. And even Kerry didn't know that. We would be going through the end of season 2, and she'd be saying things, we'd go to a table read, and she'd say, well, I really hope that they write some scenes for us together. And I said, well, yeah, I guess, I hope so, I don't know. Because all my scenes, if you remember, were either with Jeff or with Scott,
yeah,
Cyrus, or Jake.
Mm. Now, when you're in Emmy contention, which you may well be, you have to pick your highlight episode from the season. Have you given any thought to your favorite or best episode from season 3?
Yeah, the way I've been sort of led to understand the way this all works is I can put certain scenes on the Academy website, which are for your consideration. Mm-hmm. So we've chosen some monologues from A Door Marked Exit, Ride Sally Ride, and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. And those monologues are You're a Boy, Run, and Everyone is Worth Saving. The ABC Scandal has 5 episodes, and I'm not quite sure what all of those are, but they're going to put those out. And then the episode, if I should be so lucky to be nominated, I think the episode I'm going to put forward is Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, which is the episode where you see us go through a series of dinners. It has a nice full arc in terms of she wants Jake out of the hole, and so we kind of make a deal, and by the end of it, he comes out.
Yeah, very, very strong episode. I'm glad you said that one, because that is undoubtedly your best one. Although you have other great highlights. Let's touch on some of those. Obviously, from the season premiere, you have the Hell and High Water scene at the hangar, which is also replayed in the finale, which is a beauty because it reminds us, I completely had forgotten about that, and it reminds us that, your character said to Olivia, this is what I want to happen, and by God, it certainly happened by the end of it. Any other particular highlights from the season that you think really kind of showed your character in his true colors?
Well, I think Everyone is Worth Saving, Deserves Saving, I think sort of tells the whole story, because he starts off by telling her that he is responsible for 183 deaths. He then goes on to talk about the fact that her job, or the job of those of us who are in command, is to drag everyone into the light, and that's how he specifically thinks about her. So I think that was a fairly big moment. Obviously, telling a Republican president who is Southern, as I'm sitting in a chair as an American of African descent with chains on, that he's a boy, was a fairly large highlight in the season.
Yeah, certainly one of the good ones. Now, let's take a slightly different tack, because you've been around for a very long time. You've got a lot of experience on the stage, in film, and on television. Yes. Is it safe to say, do you agree that working on this particular show is another beast altogether because of its reach in social media and the fact that its fans are unlike any that I've ever seen? What do you think about that side of the show?
Well, I think that Shonda, or whoever thought up the idea of tweeting live during the broadcast, sort of came up with an idea that gets as close to live, being on the stage as one can get while you're working on television. And it's a brilliant, brilliant idea, because the audience can literally respond to what's going on the screen as it's happening, and we can respond back to them. So I've never had that experience in any other television show before, and I'm going to guess that more and more television shows will be doing this, sort of the same thing, because it makes perfect sense from both a business standpoint as well as from a performance standpoint.
Yeah, it certainly does. I think that was obviously one of the reasons why Scandal is now such a hit. It started out as a show that might not have survived, and yet it's really now cemented itself as an event every week when it airs, which is genius, as you say. But I also wonder, because obviously you've been around for a while, and for me, I will always associate you with your role in Terminator, and also some of your great work on television, like in The Good Wife and The X-Files. What do people say to you on the street? What do people associate you with still to this day?
Well, Terminator 2 will always, I think, be something that people associate me with. The one thing that's happened this particular year, which I'm really pleased, is people have been remembering Brother from Another Planet, the John Sayles film, which still remains sort of very, very dear to my heart. As a matter of fact, this year is the 30th anniversary of that film. And there was a screening of it at BAM just about a month or so ago. So those two films, The Brother from Another Planet and Terminator, are probably sort of the big arrows in my, or whatever they call that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now, gloriously enough, people, if I walk into a room, people start saying, Papa Pope is in the room. So that makes me very happy.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty cool. So where to from here? Because at the end of the penultimate episode, people were thinking, oh, maybe you're being written off the show, you've been stabbed and you might die, and then obviously in the finale, you've come back roaring and ready to go. Are you allowed to say whether you're back full-time on the show? I know you've got another role on another network. Is that right, going to affect your time on Scandal?
Well, the way it's sort of been put down on paper so far is I'll be able to go back and forth, because I'm a recurring on Scandal and a regular on the other show on Proof.
Right.
Yeah, I'll be able to go back and forth, and the schedules might even make it even easier to do that. So I'm kind of looking forward. The characters are so different, so I'm looking forward to that.
That's great. That's really good news for you. You get to play two characters at the same time. That's got to be a good thing, right?
Like
well, thank you. That's exactly right. Now, thank you very much for your time today, Joe. We wish you all the best for the upcoming award season. Scandal is going to, we think, really hit now with Emmy voters after last year winning for Dan Bukatinsky and also Kerry's nomination. We hope that more of you might grace that stage in August. And so we say thank you for your time and good luck.
Thank you and for inviting me, and thank you for the wishes of good luck. Thank you.
And